When you think of desert, what comes to your mind? Endless sand, scorching heat, no signs of life?
The Kubuchi Desert is one of China's largest and most dangerous deserts. It covered 18,600 square kilometers with moving dunes, extremely scarce water, and villages that slowly disappeared beneath the sand. For decades, experts considered it almost impossible to restore. But then something happened that no one saw coming. NASA satellites began recording a giant green belt spreading across land that many people once believed was permanently dead. And the most shocking part? This transformation did not come from a massive river project or some futuristic machine. It came from millions of rabbits. But how did those rabbits turn one of the harshest deserts on Earth into green land again? And why did China attempt such an insane mission that many experts believed could end in disaster? Let's dive in. Sand swallowed everything. The Kubuchi Desert in China did not look like a place where life could survive. It stood as the seventh largest desert in China. Everywhere people looked, they saw endless waves of sand reaching far beyond the horizon. Strong winds pushed the dunes forward year after year, and some areas moved nearly 10 meters every single year. The desert never seemed to rest. It kept moving, spreading, and taking more land with it. Each season brought new damage, and each year made the situation worse. What happened here shocked everyone who saw it with their own eyes. The climate made everything even harder. Rain rarely arrived, and when it did, the dry ground quickly swallowed it. Evaporation stayed 7 times higher than rainfall. The land baked under the sun during the day and remained harsh through every season. People watched the desert grow stronger while the living world around it slowly disappeared. Every passing year seemed to prove that nature had already made its decision. The disaster did not stop with the land. Entire communities felt its impact. Families woke up to find fresh sand piled against their doors. Roads vanished beneath drifting dunes. Fields that once supported local people slowly turned into empty stretches of sand. In 1988, conditions became so severe that more than 3,000 families left their homes behind. Many villages stood half-buried, with sand reaching rooftops that once sheltered generations of families. People packed what they could carry and moved away, leaving behind memories, homes, and the lives they had built over decades. The silence that followed felt almost as heavy as the desert itself. As more people left, fear spread beyond the desert. The advancing dunes threatened nearby regions and important infrastructure. Every year, the desert pushed farther into areas where people worked and lived. To many observers, that description felt accurate. They saw no water, no stable vegetation, and no realistic path toward recovery. The desert appeared stronger than every solution people tried. Yet even in the middle of this hopeless landscape, one detail refused to disappear. While most people saw only endless sand and certain defeat, one person looked at the same desert and imagined a different future. That decision would begin a story that almost nobody believed could succeed. And it all started with a man willing to challenge the impossible. One man refused. The Kubuchi Desert convinced almost everyone that defeat was certain. But Wang Wenbao saw a chance to change its future. He did not arrive with promises of miracles. He did not arrive with advanced machines or huge construction plans. He stood in front of a growing crisis and accepted a task that many people considered impossible, as the advancing desert moved closer year after year. If the factory disappeared, local jobs and livelihoods could disappear with it. The pressure kept growing, and very few people believed a real solution existed. What happened next began with an idea so simple that most people overlooked it. Instead of fighting nature with giant structures, he turned to an old method called straw checkerboards. Workers placed millions of straw bundles, each about 50 centimeters long, into the ground. They arranged them in neat 1 by 1 meter squares that stretched across huge areas. From above, the pattern looked like a giant net spread over the landscape. Many observers failed to understand how such a simple design could make any difference. The project looked small compared with the scale of the problem. Still, the work continued day after day and year after year. The hidden effect slowly started to appear. The straw grids increased surface roughness across the ground. As strong air currents moved across the region, the checkerboards weakened their force before they could carry loose particles away. Areas that once shifted constantly began to settle. The surface became more stable, and tiny amounts of moisture stayed in place longer than before. These changes seemed small at first, but they marked the beginning of something important. Nature finally had a chance to hold on to the little water that reached the area. During the 1990s, each hectare of checkerboard cost more than $4,000. That was a huge amount of money at the time. Critics argued that pouring millions into a harsh landscape made no sense. Some people called the project a waste of resources. Newspapers, officials, and ordinary citizens often disagreed about the value of the plan. Yet another group saw something different. They viewed the project as an investment in future generations and a chance to stop a growing environmental threat before it spread even farther. At the time, many people faced a difficult choice between investing millions into the desert or accepting defeat and walking away. Then, the first results arrived. Wind speed dropped by about 70%. The surface remained far more stable than before. For the first time in centuries, the ground stopped shifting across large areas. It was an incredible achievement, but it solved only one part of the problem. Wang Wenbao had slowed the advance of destruction. But creating a living ecosystem would demand an even stranger solution, one that few people could have imagined. Rabbits changed everything. The next stage of the plan sounded so unusual that many people struggled to take it seriously. After years of effort, some expected larger machines, advanced laboratories, or another engineering breakthrough. Instead, attention shifted toward a small animal that most people never connected with environmental recovery. The new strategy centered on Rex rabbits. At first glance, the idea seemed almost impossible to believe. Few people imagined that a creature known mainly for farming could play a major role in rebuilding damaged land. Yet behind this surprising decision stood years of observation, careful planning, and biological research that pointed toward a remarkable possibility. The choice did not happen by accident. Scientists needed an animal that could survive difficult conditions without placing heavy pressure on limited resources. Many larger grazing animals required too much food and water. Others could damage young vegetation before it had time to establish itself. Rex rabbits offered a very different set of advantages. This breed originated in France and developed extremely thick fur, with around 18,000 hairs per square centimeter. Few animals could handle such dramatic changes with the same efficiency. Rex rabbits survived on dry grasses and consumed very little water. Rabbit waste contains about 3% nitrogen, 2% phosphorus, and 1% potassium. Those levels make it roughly 4 times more concentrated than cow manure. Their small size allows them to spread through loose ground more easily and deliver nutrients directly where new growth needs them most. As rabbit numbers increased, they supplied an enormous amount of natural fertilizer across large areas. Then researchers noticed another unexpected benefit. Research from the Chinese Academy of Sciences showed that about 90% of seeds passing through the digestive system of Rex rabbits still retained the ability to germinate. Mongolian willow trees provided shelter from intense heat. The animals fed on surrounding vegetation while returning nutrients to the ground. Over time, this partnership improved soil quality and encouraged new biological activity. Within a decade, the density of microorganisms in grazing areas increased tenfold. Restoration moved about 15 times faster than natural recovery methods often seen in parts of the sub-Saharan region. What once looked like a strange experiment slowly began producing measurable results. But even then, one major problem still remained. Nothing could truly survive unless there was a consistent source of moisture to support it. Without it, animals and vegetation would eventually fail to sustain themselves. The next breakthrough would target this exact challenge, and it would come from an unexpected source above the ground. Water from sunlight. The biological system continued growing, but another challenge waited ahead. Plants needed moisture for long-term survival, and natural rainfall alone could not provide enough support. Even after important progress, the environment remained extremely dry. Valuable moisture disappeared quickly under intense sunlight, making long-term development difficult. The project needed a new approach, something capable of helping both vegetation and local infrastructure at the same time. The answer arrived through an idea that looked like an energy project on the surface, but quietly performed a much larger role behind the scenes. A remarkable structure soon appeared across the landscape. Many visitors saw only a power station producing electricity. Few realized that this facility also supported one of the most creative resource management systems ever built in a dry environment. Hidden beneath the panels, an entirely different process was taking place. The true purpose became clear over time. Areas beneath the installation remained cooler and more stable than nearby exposed surfaces. Conditions that once made growth difficult gradually became more manageable. Another important benefit arrived whenever rain appeared. Each panel worked like a collection surface. Rather than allowing water to scatter randomly, the system guided it into pipes and underground storage areas. Every drop became valuable. Engineers designed the network to capture available moisture and prevent unnecessary waste. Instead of disappearing into loose ground immediately, collected supplies remained available for future use. This simple change dramatically improved efficiency throughout the project area. The innovation did not stop there. Workers combined stored supplies with water used during panel cleaning operations. After filtration, the system delivered it through precise drip irrigation networks. These lines supplied moisture directly where it was needed most. The process reduced waste and supported vegetation without excessive consumption. Resources moved carefully through every stage, allowing each drop to serve multiple purposes before returning to the environment. The technology itself added another advantage. The station used bifacial solar panels capable of capturing direct sunlight, as well as light reflected from the surrounding surface. This design increased power generation efficiency by about 15% compared with conventional facilities. Engineers also shaped the giant horse layout to improve airflow and reduce dust accumulation on panel surfaces. Every detail served a practical purpose. Then, something extraordinary happened. After more than 30 years, groundwater levels increased by approximately 1.5 to 1.8 meters. Few restoration projects anywhere in the world had achieved a result like that. The system had become far more than a source of electricity. It quietly helped create a cycle that supported long-term recovery. Now, the region possessed stability, biological activity, reliable moisture, and renewable power. Yet one final challenge remained. A transformation of this scale could survive only if it generated lasting economic value. Desert started paying. Large environmental projects often fail for one simple reason. They consume money for years, but produce very little in return. The team behind Kubuchi understood that reality from the beginning. Long-term success required more than recovery alone. People needed income, businesses needed opportunities, and local communities needed a reason to stay invested in the future. Without those pieces, even the most impressive achievements could disappear. That understanding pushed the project toward a new phase, one focused on creating value, instead of depending entirely on support from outside sources. A different economy soon began taking shape. Instead of treating the region as damaged land, they treated it as a place full of untapped potential. New opportunities appeared across multiple industries, creating benefits that reached far beyond restoration efforts alone. One of the first success stories came from medicinal crops. Large areas began producing licorice and other drought-resistant plants used by the healthcare industry. These species adapted well to local conditions and created reliable income for farming communities. As demand for natural products continued rising, growers found new markets and stable sources of revenue. Families that once struggled to find opportunities discovered entirely new ways to support themselves. The transformation continued through another growing sector. Rex rabbits became part of a complete production chain. Their fur reached premium clothing markets. Their meat supplied consumers across domestic markets. Processing facilities converted farm waste into useful products instead of discarding it. Biodigesters generated clean energy, while organic fertilizer supported additional agricultural activity. Each part of the system reinforced another, creating multiple income streams from a single resource. A new source of prosperity soon arrived from an unexpected direction. Visitors traveled to see the remarkable transformation with their own eyes. Ecotourism expanded rapidly. People came to experience a landscape that many once believed could never recover. Another financial engine quietly strengthened the project. Millions of newly planted trees absorbed greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. That environmental benefit created value through carbon credit markets. Companies purchased emission rights, generating additional revenue while encouraging sustainable practices. This approach attracted attention from other countries searching for new solutions in dry regions. The results reached far beyond balance sheets and business reports. The net value of the Kubuchi ecosystem now exceeds $10 billion. Communities that once faced uncertainty now enjoy new opportunities and stronger economic security. The region stopped acting as a burden and started generating wealth. Yet money alone could never tell the full story. The strongest evidence of success would soon arrive on wings, hooves, and silent footsteps from creatures that had disappeared long ago. Nature came back. The clearest proof of change did not come from financial reports, engineering systems, or scientific measurements. It came from living creatures. For many years, large parts of Kubuchi remained quiet and empty. Then the sounds of nature slowly returned. Small signs appeared first. More movement filled the landscape. New life emerged across areas that once supported very little activity. As conditions improved, species began arriving from places far beyond the horizon. What happened next gave researchers some of the strongest evidence they had ever seen. The transformation became impossible to ignore. Scientists recorded the return of more than 100 migratory bird species. White cranes appeared again. Black swans returned to areas where people had not seen them for generations. Above former barren ground, flocks crossed the sky and settled in places that had once offered almost nothing for survival. The arrival of these travelers signaled a deeper shift taking place throughout the region. Healthy environments attract life, and life was clearly returning. Even larger animals soon followed. Inner Mongolian red deer began appearing once again. Their presence showed that conditions now supported more complex biological communities. These animals require food sources, shelter, and stable surroundings. Their return suggested that many parts of the ecological system were functioning together once more. Each new sighting added another piece to a growing picture of recovery. Then came one of the most remarkable discoveries of all. They bring evidence that countless biological relationships now operate successfully beneath them. The science confirmed what people could already see. Biologists deployed bioacoustic sensor systems across the region. These devices tracked bird songs and other natural sounds without disturbing wildlife. The data revealed increasing biodiversity and growing ecological complexity. Scientists used these signals as indicators of environmental health. Areas that many experts considered permanently damaged now hosted a wide variety of species. Green vegetation stretched across locations where yellow landscapes once dominated the view. The change reached far beyond appearance. It touched every layer of the natural world. Yet this story was never only about rabbits, vegetation, energy, business, or wildlife. It was about people refusing to surrender to a challenge that seemed impossible. Kubuchi became proof that determination, science, technology, and patience can work together to rewrite the future. At the same time, it delivered an important reminder. Nature can recover in extraordinary ways, but protecting that recovery will remain one of humanity's greatest responsibilities for generations to come. What began with a mystery was never really about rabbits alone. The real story combined biology, engineering, economics, and technology to transform a place many people had already given up on. Kubuchi stands as one of humanity's largest environmental experiments, proving that recovery is possible but never guaranteed. Would you support a project like this in your country, or do you think nature should recover without human intervention? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this journey inspiring, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Until next time, see you again.